everyone. Welcome to Main Street's professional event, Living with COVID. We are here with a good friend of mine. Her name is Laura Gross. She is the president of Scott Circle Communications right here in Washington, D.C. She is going to really lead us in a really exciting conversation today about her purpose-driven initiative and the work she does to really highlight how organizations can communicate what they are doing. She's going to be talking about that today, how to do that during COVID and beyond, really, and think about how we can be authentic in our internal communications, in our culture, and then how we can share that with others to both inspire and also let people know how to do that. Laura, you're going to do a much better job at explaining what you do than I will, so I'm going to hand it over and let you take it away.
Great. It's so nice to be here. Thank you, Sharon. I'm always excited to share, to help companies and organizations incorporate purpose into their content and into their programming as well. You'll have to forgive me. I'm looking at some notes on a piece of paper as I go. Usually I put them right in the presentation. I wasn't sure with Zoom what would be able to be seen and not seen. So just bear with me if I'm not looking directly at the computer. I wanted to tell you a bit about my firm, what we do, and then we'll get right into the presentation. We are a public relations firm that works with associations, really mission, advocacy organizations, nonprofits, corporations with a purpose, talking about their purpose programming, and some that just have business in Washington and Capitol Hill. Very mission-driven work is what we do. And we do, oh, see, now it's not working. There we go. And we provide a lot of strategic communication support, including strategy, messaging, media relations, content creation, digital media. We're doing a lot of thought leadership too these days. And recently we've been helping some of our clients, what I would call mini crises just during COVID and the protests that are going on as well. So really raising your public profile. And I want to talk about, I don't want this to be about me, but I do want to talk about how I came, why purpose is important to me. And then I think that will go more into our mission and our business philosophy as well. So first of all, I grew up in Atlanta, Georgia in the 70s and 80s. I grew up in a family that was news junkies. We talked about politics. You know, I grew up with pre-baby boomer parents. I heard about the Kennedys all the time. You know, I remember sitting on our orange couch in the 70s and my parents reading Doris Kearns Goodwin's book, The Fitzgeralds and the Kennedys, with a green tattered cover. I remember it very specifically. And also hearing a story about how my great-grandfather was on stage with Robert Kennedy during one of his campaigns in Rochester, New York. My great-grandfather was a union leader. He was a tailor a long time ago. And so we think it was his Senate campaign, Robert Kennedy's Senate campaign. So this was really how I was brought up, talking about purpose and mission a lot as well. As I mentioned, we were news junkies. We had TV on and news on all the time, probably to detriment. It was during family meals and some other stuff like that. So current events were always very popular. I remember getting off the school bus, and this is when there was a morning paper and an afternoon paper, and I picked up the afternoon paper at the bottom of our driveway after school and brought it in, and we would all read the paper as well. Maybe not a normal family, but that's what we did, watching 60 Minutes and evening news and local news and everything. So much so that when I went away to summer camp and the Democratic convention was in Atlanta, I was really upset to miss it. A teenager upset about missing the political convention. So when a lot of these kids, what do you send your kids when they're away at summer camp? String for friendship bracelets, toys, books. Not me. I wanted news about the Democratic convention, so my mother would send me newspaper articles at summer camp. Once again, part of our blood and part of who we were as a family and why I was interested in stuff like this. I grew up, graduated from the University of Georgia from journalism school and went into politics, did some political work. I also worked for the US government. And I did a stint at National Public Radio as well, which I loved working there. And then one of my favorite jobs was working for the Robert Kennedy. At the time, it was the Robert Kennedy Memorial. Now it's Robert Kennedy Human Rights, which was so nice. It came full circle from where I was with my great-grandfather, where my great-grandfather was. So as you can see, I really worked on a lot of mission-driven public service type of work, and it's what motivated me. I'm someone who loves going to work and working because I was able to help other people. So you would think that when I started my business, I would do that type of work. Well, when you start a business, sure, I did. I did some nonprofit work. I did some campaigns here and there. But you know, when you start a business, everybody says, don't say no to anything. You have to really survive with your business and you can't say no to anything. So you know what I did? I took on a nail salon, tech startups. I even had a nightclub at one point. And I was sort of all over the place, and it was, and I didn't really, I had a team at this point, and we had offices, and we were growing, but I never really was motivated by helping sort of the more corporate clients gain more customers or raise money for Series B or A or whatever it was. It just wasn't me, and I found myself sort of not motivated to go into work and work on these clients. So what I did is I really took time and I made a very strategic switch to working with mission-driven organizations. I knew that my team would be motivated by this. I knew I, as a business owner, would be motivated by this, but I was really scared. Who in the world moves from working with corporate clients to nonprofits? Would my business survive? Would I be able to really make a living out of this and be able to employ my staff and pay rent and benefits and everything? So, but I did it. I had the courage to do it, and I still wanted to remain what we were good at, which was all those services I outlined at the beginning. So while finding my purpose and running this business, I really worked on our strengths. I was authentic to who we were. It was easy for me to do this. I am motivated by helping other people. My team is motivated by other people, and people can see our enthusiasm when we do this. We finally had a culture. I was able to talk about, you know, we always say at our culture, we want to help people, not just help but because our clients are so mission driven, we are able to help our clients, and they in turn can help other people. And this is the culture at Scott Circle Communications. So we were able to do that. It's really scary nowadays, I know, for businesses, but I've learned that if you stick with your core strengths, what you're good at in your core audience, you'll be able to focus more and really be able to grow your business. And I got to tell you, the first year we made the switch was the first year we didn't grow, and I was all nervous. And then after that, we've grown 23% year after year. So our revenue growth did go up because we were able to focus even with mission-driven clients. And we had the best year ever last year. We'll see what this year brings, but last year was great. Everybody, you know, COVID's a whole different thing this year. I know we're not the only, but we're sticking with what we know, and we're sticking with marketing to clients that we know as well, to the mission-driven clients. We know we're not the only ones that know that purpose matters. There's been some recent polling that just say, we know that other people are craving this from corporations, from organizations, and that people want to help as well. This 84% number that's right there at the top, where corporations should take a public stand on societal issues related to their business, that's from a survey that was just taken in April about activism, and should businesses be active. So that was before the Black Lives Matter movement really heated up, but I thought that was very interesting, a very high number. And you can see the other stats there. These are just some of our clients who we believe in, who we work with. As you can see, they're all very mission driven as well. We just did this really fun project called The Call to Unite with an organization called Unite with Tim Shriver heading it up. It was a 24-hour broadcast with a lot of people talking about how we can all come together in a positive way during COVID. And it had people, everyone from Oprah to a Nobel Prize winner to Deepak Chopra. There was a bunch of fun people on this broadcast, and we helped them get started and get going with everything. So I want to talk a bit about our our content and what we're doing now as an organization, as a PR firm. As I talked about before, we've talked and how what I did, and I'll get into this on the next slide as well, is I wanted us to walk the walk. It was great. We were helping all of these organizations with their mission-driven work, but what were we doing internally as an organization? There were several things we were already doing. We do a community service project twice a year with N Street Village, which is a women's shelter in downtown DC. We're very passionate, as Sharon and I were speaking about, helping other women as well. Not that we don't want to help everybody, but as a woman, 100% woman-owned business, it's something I take personally as well. So we wanted to do more. It is part of our culture to help. Oh, and we also, instead of, this is new, we used to buy, client gifts or people that send us referrals, we would buy them gifts. Instead, now we make a donation to N Street Village in their honor. And I thought that was part of our culture as well. But I still wanted to challenge the team to do a little more, and how can we give back as an organization? I wanted us to be authentic. I wanted us to really be ourselves, and I'll get into this on the next slide about authenticity, and then play with our strengths, which of course is working with strategic communications. So I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I knew it was something. I knew we couldn't donate millions of dollars to a nonprofit. I knew, there's a bunch of people that take on pro bono clients. We do that very rarely because we're a small business, but I didn't want to really do that either. I knew there was something, I didn't know what. So what I did is I really challenged my team. We were at a staff retreat, an offsite, in a conference room that wasn't our conference room, but it was crowded. And if you could picture it with all those like pieces of white paper on the walls and people writing stuff and Sharpies all over the place and snacks, all over the table and water and coffee and everything. It was really, a strategic retreat to talk about our previous year and what to expect about the next year. But I knew this next year, which was 2019, I really wanted to challenge the team to do our own community service project. So I put this out to the team for several reasons. One, I had no idea what this was, and I needed my team's support like I always do. Two, I thought if I challenged the team, I would get their buy-in too on this project, and they would, instead of me telling them this is what I wanted to do, I wanted us to come up with it together as a team, so we would all be motivated to work on whatever this project was. I wanted us to go back to what's our culture. We always say, how can we help? We're very team oriented. We're very collaborative. And I'd like to say we're a lot of fun. That's the feedback I get as well. And I wanted us to be authentic. I wanted us to be comfortable with what we were offering. We're a communications firm. We are not an advertising firm. I didn't want to offer free advertising or anything like that. I don't want to offer HR advice on being purposeful or anything like that. I really wanted us to be who we were and go back to our culture. And then again, as I mentioned on the last slide, speak about our strengths in strategic, which is strategic communications. So what we came up with was the Purpose program. Get it? Program, PR. And we did a whole brainstorming session around the name of this as well. And it's free communications training for area nonprofits. What we're doing, and we launched last November, we had a lot of brainstorming sessions. I assigned someone on my team to take this on as if it was a client. And we had people apply to the organizations apply to the Purpose program. There's an application process. We went through all the applications. We were very particular about who we chose. We chose 4 applicants. Everyone from an executive director to a junior marketing person at an area nonprofit. And we're taking them through how to build a communications plan. So at the end of our 6 or 7 months of training, we meet once a month, they'll walk away with a communications plan they can implement to help raise the profile of their organization or a program they're working on. It's all free. Everyone gets a mentor of a senior member of our team from our firm to work with in between sessions. And there's going to be a graduation and everything. And then eventually there'll be alumni of the Purpose program. We had to switch it up. We were planning on meeting in person and doing a lot of in-person stuff. Obviously with COVID, we are we're no longer doing that, but we're meeting online and it's working just fine. So it's been a lot of fun to see this launch, and graduation, I think it was supposed to be September. I think we're in October. It's going to be in October right now. So then COVID hit, and I said, well, first of all, we're a team that I've already talked about. We love working together. As much as there's a lot of trends right now about everyone's going to be working at home, I don't think that's going to be the case for my office. We all miss being with each other. No one wants to go back to the office right now, but we will eventually. We're very team oriented. We're fun. And so someone on my team said, what can I do? Lovely Daniela, who also runs the Purpose program, said, what can I do to help with team culture and team collaboration? And I said, I don't know. I'm looking to you. I always want to motivate my staff to do something. So she came up with a project that will help us with team culture internally. And I'll get into what that is in a minute. And show you a video about how we launched it, about how we do this internally. And it was such a success internally, we decided we wanted to share it with other people for free, what we were doing, so that everyone can maintain a cohesive culture right now. Especially because the trend is going to be working at home for so many people for the foreseeable future. So we launched what I'm calling Circle Up with this video. Working from home is hard, but we've got some ideas to help make it a little better.
Tips for keeping teams connected.
Games and challenges to break up the sameness of Zoom meeting-filled days.
Resources to help you stay informed and inspired.
And other creative ideas to give morale a boost and keep your culture thriving, even in lockdown.
Sign up for monthly challenges, tips, and tools. Even if we can't be together, Scott Circle Communications is still here for you. Circle up.
So we launched Circle Up. We were sharing everything we were doing internally. As you look to the right of the screen, there's a weekly challenge every week. They're different. Sometimes people just share their favorite song. Other times we're learning origami. We do trivia on Fridays, or what was really fun is someone, that was Daniela at the end who did all of this. So take pictures, because we're such a close-knit team, we took pictures of our bookshelves and everyone had to guess whose bookshelf was whose, or kitchen pantries as well. We did a lot of that. So that's what we would do to have lunch together on Fridays. And once again, it goes back to how did we find purpose and how did we know we were being authentic to ourselves? First of all, during COVID, everyone's talking about pivoting. Well, look, we're not a clothing manufacturer that's been making t-shirts for years and then now is making masks. We don't have that capacity to do that. But we did see a trend of working at home. And once again, it goes back to our culture of being helpful. We're helping other people have a good team culture at home. Fun. I thought it was a lot of fun what we're doing. Collaborative and teamwork. It's authentic. Look, we were doing this internally. My intention was never to share this. It was just to do it internally so we would have some form of cohesion together and purpose to still want to work together and be a team together. But then we thought, why not share it with everybody else so they can have good teamwork as well. And we played to our strengths, as I said before, with strategic communications. In this case, it's internal communications. So that's what we're doing. And not to do too much of a plug, but you can sign up to get these monthly templates for your teams on our website. So then that leads me into purpose today. There's so much that has changed in these last 3 months. I think there was always a trend towards purpose for organizations, but now it seems like there's a lot of activism now as well. You're seeing so many people send out statements these days about Black Lives Matter, but that's what I want to talk about: authenticity. It's important. We should all be on the right side of history, but make sure it's authentic to your organization to send out a statement. I'll give you an example. We're an organization that supports Black Lives Matter, but I didn't think it was authentic for our organization to send out a statement to our clients or people on our mailing list. We've never done it before. We don't take, we just don't do anything like that publicly. It's not who we are. But I'll tell you what we did internally. We've talked about how to incorporate more voices of color into our communications plans, how we can get our clients to incorporate more voices of color and different points of view. And we're meeting internally to make sure this is part of not just, you know, a one-time thing, but really our culture, and it becomes part of who we are and the fabric of our firm as well, so that it's like, it's not even a second thought anymore. So we're doing that internally to be authentic. There's some people that sent out statements that just weren't, you know, they were sending it out just to check a box because they had to. If you want to Google this, McDonald's did an ad about "We believe in Black Lives Matter," which is great. They should. They're partnering with the NAACP and some other organizations and giving money. But what was happening behind the scenes was there were protests in 20 cities because there were, and I wrote this down, the ACLU, because they called them out on their ad that they were doing. There were protests in 20 cities during COVID-19 because McDonald's wasn't providing the proper PPE to their employees, and they were getting sick. So in response to this ad where they were responding to Black Lives Matter, ACLU responded in their tweet thread about the ad. You haven't even responded to our letter demanding paid sick and family leave for all our employees, the majority of whom are Black or non-Black people of color. So should McDonald's, maybe there was a nuance they could have done with their message and been a little more authentic about how they need to help their employees first. So that's why I want to talk about authenticity a lot. And here, these hyperlinks weren't working in our tech run through, but if you want to talk about a lot of purpose today as well, we're talking about activism. Patagonia has always been very active, talking about mostly environmental stuff, but they've been talking a lot about Black Lives Matter as well. They just got involved with Facebook, taking ads off of Facebook because they don't like what Facebook is doing. They're very true and authentic to themselves. I'm sorry the hyperlinks aren't working, but you can go to their webpage. At the top of their webpage is not only Shop Patagonia, but one of the choices to choose from is activism. So that's or our purpose or our mission or something like that. It's really front and center with this organization. So you're never surprised when they come out on an issue or take a stand on an issue. And always talk about purpose. What is your purpose as an organization? Like I said, ours is to help people. Chick-fil-A has their purpose statement on their website, and it says to glorify God by being a faithful steward of all that is entrusted to us and to have a positive influence on all who come into contact with Chick-fil-A. That is their purpose. They're closed on Sundays. They, in their Happy Meals, they give out books that are a little more religious. They are very clear what their purpose is, for better or worse, but I did want to point out what their purpose is, and you know what Chick-fil-A is, and now they're following through in their everyday actions as well. Also, when you're talking about purpose today, you have to take substantive action, not just in a month, not just sending out a statement, but forever and in perpetuity. Ben & Jerry's, and I would click on the link if I could do this, is doing a very good job at this if you want to Google what they're doing. They not just sent out a statement, and I think this fits with their culture as well, if anyone knows Ben & Jerry's for decades at this point. They're asking for certain legislation to be passed, and they were very specific. It's HR 40 or whatever it was. They were very specific about their action. They're very specific about who they're partnering with and what they're doing. They're not just donating money, but they're donating money and they're providing grassroots activism. I'm sorry, I can't call up the webpage, but they're very specific about what they're doing, and they will follow through and continue to talk about this. There's a whole webpage dedicated to what they're doing. And also, if it's authentic to who you are, share what you're doing on all your different digital platforms, but only if it's authentic to you. Like I said, I'm not sharing what we're doing with incorporating voices of, I'm telling you, voices of color at our firm, because it's not something, we don't talk about how we incorporate all different types of things at our firm. Although it's important, it's not authentic to us to blast out a message. So just be authentic to you. Sometimes it's internal as well. So I'm leaving you with this. If you are looking for your purpose, how to incorporate purpose into your organization, how to talk about purpose, remember to be authentic, use your strengths and take real action and real change and be substantive with what you're doing. Don't just send out a statement to send out a statement. So that is it. There's a link to our website if you want to sign up for anything. And that's it. I'm happy to answer any questions. I know I talk fast too. I try to slow down.
No, Laura, oh my gosh, that was just amazing. There was so much in there. I loved the examples, and I would love it if you have a question and you want to put it in the chat, or you could, in fact, maybe Laura, let's stop sharing your screen and then we have a better sense. But I do have a question. How does hold on. One sec here, I just lost how does a nonprofit apply to the next session of the Purpose program? That's by John Bagaski.
Our website, and now that's fine. I'm having a technical problem here. If you go to our website, give me 2 minutes.
Oh, here, I can do it, circle.com.
Yeah, it's scottcircle.com. In the hamburger menu over to the right is what they call it. There is, I'm sorry, I'm annoyed with how my screen looks at the moment. There is a link to the Purpose program. Applications will probably open in October again.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, so open in October. And as I mentioned, everyone, you will be getting these slides in my follow-up email, and we will also post them on the virtual resources page as well as the video. So her examples, those hyperlinks should work then. I just wanted to make a point to say that. Do we have any other questions? And we can unmute yourself and ask, or you can put it in the chat or raise your hand. Okay, well, let me do a couple. Oh, I see one. Oh no, I see a thank you. Jillian said this was awesome. I think that went to me instead of the group, but I know she intended that for you. I do want to ask if one of my Main Street people, I have another question here. We're going to take a picture in a minute, by the way. Can we do any virtual volunteer work at home during the pandemic? I have that question, Laura. I'm assuming, Island, you mean for Scott Circle, or do you just mean in general? You can unmute yourself, Island, if you'd like to ask your question. I can't see you, so I'm not sure.
For any.
I'm sorry, would you repeat that, Island? I'm sorry, we missed it.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that.
That's okay.
For both, could we do any, fun volunteer opportunities virtually while we're stuck at home?
So I'm sure there are a lot of volunteer opportunities at home. Everything from making calls to even helping with paperwork. If you're active on social media, why not look at social media as well? I think it's going to depend on the organization. I did talk to, this is just an example. I talked to a woman a while ago who was working with low-income housing, and how were they going to move everything online when they needed to deliver services to people and food to people? So she was looking for a way to do that and have her volunteers communicate virtually with people. So I think there's opportunities. I'm sorry, I don't know anything off the top of my head, but I'm sure there's things out there as well. If I think of anything, I'll let Sharon know. But yes, absolutely.
And Island, we'll try and also do a little digging and look for opportunities to highlight that at Main Street too. That's a great suggestion. I'm gonna put you back on mute for a second, and I know that we have a question from Carrie McGraw. Carrie, do you want to? I'm gonna unmute you.
I'm unmuted. Hello.
Okay.
Hi, Sharon.
Hi.
Hi.
So happy you're here.
Thank you. My name is Carrie McGraw. I'm the Director of Communications at the National Association of State Directors of Developmental Disability Services. Just so you know where I'm coming from. But I did have a question, and one reason I actually joined this webinar is I'm wondering if you give specific advice to particularly nonprofits who tend to be speaking on behalf of groups. Maybe it's minority groups, or in our case, it's people with intellectual and developmental disabilities, is how to really incorporate the voices of those with lived experience into your messaging, because it's something, you know, I'm struggling with. I don't want to, particularly in these times, speak on behalf of a group, you know, and I think our answer in the past is to be bringing in advisors, or, you know, do you have any specific advice? If you know the question that I'm asking is sort of, I want to be authentic, and I feel like the only way to do so is to ensure that our voices of those with lived experiences rise to the top. So I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, or
Oh,
ideas.
Carrie, this is a whole other conversation.
I know, it's a whole other webinar.
We can follow up after this. I'm happy to do that. Real quick, some things that come to mind are a lot of storytelling with your members. You know, I purposely at the beginning really painted a picture of what it was like to grow up in the 70s and 80s in my house, so that you could get a sense of who I was and what I was about. So I think it's a lot of storytelling as well with your members and what's happening now. It's videos, it's audio, it's quotes from them, it's pictures of what everybody's doing in their community. So I think it's really, I think that's very important right now. You don't have to be the voice. I think you can guide people as the communications director about what you're looking for, but I think it's so important to have your members speak and be the ones to talk about what you're doing. Is that what you were getting at a bit?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's we're just re-looking at all of our communications from that perspective. And I think that's a really good point, that if we go to those other mediums and ensure that we're providing a platform for their voices, then we're not really speaking on their behalf. We're just providing that opportunity for them to speak. So yeah, I think that's a very good point. So
right. And we work with so many nonprofits. I mean, you always have a voice. You're the one pulling everybody together. So, I mean, there's something that can come from the lead organization as well in the lead. So, I mean, I think that's still important. But I think, like I did, incorporating my team into helping to make a decision, incorporate, you know, so many nonprofits have a communications committee where they're hearing from their members, so they know how to incorporate everything, or having people take the lead on something. So that's an opportunity as well. But Carrie, I mean, I'm happy to talk to you offline about this, one communicator to another as well.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And I just wanted to point out, Island, that I got some great information from Jubilee about some volunteer opportunities. I will include that in our follow-up. I have a question, Catherine. Maybe we can share your info about, oh, yes, okay. I see Jillian is talking to Catherine directly there. And I just wanted to mention also, I saw back in the chat, I think Jonathan asked a question. Jonathan, did you want to unmute yourself? And are you still with us? He might have popped off. Okay. Okay. I think he just asked about sharing that with his organization, your information. So that is great. I think if we don't have any other questions, but if you have a question afterward, I can absolutely make sure that, I know that I think, you know, Laura gave her information on that last slide, so you can connect with her, or you can ask me and I can make sure and connect with her as well.
Sissy has raised his hand. If I pronounced it right, if I didn't, I apologize.
Oh, I see that. Good eye. I'm sorry I missed that. Do you, let's unmute yourself. There you go.
So Laura, good morning.
Good morning.
Oh, good. Thank you so much for the opportunity to have us to speak to Mainstream Connect. The question is about, like, you know, there's like I think Sam is lovely. Like, you know, for me, I've been helping out a bunch of community, especially for like going to like protests to help raising the voice of the community. So, and not just volunteering, like internship opportunities to help people, like, you know, supporting the communities, like, you know, like what's the option, like, when you're trying to figure out the way that people can have some like opportunity to do either like virtual internship or volunteers to help people like to spread across the communities?
So, I mean, it might go back to some of the stuff Sharon's posting from Jubilee. It's great you're out there protesting. That's great. I think a lot of stuff also is, I'm not someone who wants to, as much as I believe in the protest, wants to go out right now. So I'm doing a lot online, or I'm doing what I can as a business owner, as well as we've talked about, and also encouraging my clients to, like I said, incorporate people of color in their communications. So I think there's a lot you can do online. I think that it's great you're going out there as well and protesting. And Sharon said she'd share those volunteer links also. Is that what you were getting with? I feel I sort of answered your question.
I think so, yeah, because like, you know, sometimes for me, there's like many choices is because like you said, since we're pretty much stuck at home, but even though later I have to go back to my work soon as possible, you know, this is very challenging just because like for us, like since we're pretty much like, you know, staying home, well, wherever it is stage 2, we just need to figure out a way that we can do to help support communities in a virtual way.
Got it. Okay, well, that's a great question. And I think that I'll take the lead in saying also that we're going to continue to look for information to share with you. Clearly, that's a topic that is of interest. I did just post on our chat what Catherine had shared with me about Jubilee and volunteering online, and we'll continue to look for ways to share that, but I'll include that in our follow-up as well. So we're just going to keep looking for ways to support others and be authentic in how we support our community in whatever way we feel comfortable with. So with that, I think, Stacy, do you mind if we don't have a huge amount of pictures anymore, and it probably would have been better to do our little picture when we had those beautiful slides up, but maybe everyone can give a quick thumbs up and we'll get a quick shot. 1, 2, 3. All right, we got it. And now I'm going to attempt, if it's okay with everybody, to launch a quick poll. And while you are answering that poll, I'm going to be filling you in on some of our events at Main Street. But I just wanted to say that kind of in line with what Laura had explained today about really knowing yourself, being true to yourself, and listening to your audience. As you will continue to learn as we go on with our summer programming, we are looking to be in touch with you for every single event to hear what you think about our programming, how you feel about what we're putting out there, and making sure that we are responding to both what you want to learn about and how we're doing. So this poll is anonymous, and your feedback is just going to help make our programming better. So you can also, there will be 2 options. So you can give your, tell us about your experience in 2 different ways. So let's see if this works. And I'm going to also include the link to, my link didn't work. I'm gonna include the link in the chat as well. If you just give me one quick second. One sec. While you're doing your polling, hopefully I can include this link that just escaped me. Here we go. Oh, because I see what I did. I had copied. There we go. All right, there's the link. It looks like people are filling it out. And while you're continuing on, if it's okay, I'm gonna run by just a few upcoming events we have. This coming Monday, well, first of all, today is Wednesday. Tomorrow we have our culture series in the morning with our with the National Aquarium, which I'm super excited about because my daughter is an intern there and this program is gonna be super cool. So you should definitely check it out. And then if you have a sweet tooth and you wanna bake with me, we're doing Bake with Sharon at 4 o'clock tomorrow. We're gonna be making chocolate laddus, which is an Indian treat. It's super cool. And it's, I've already made some for Marianne for her birthday and she promised me they were delicious. So we're good to go. I couldn't taste them because they have dairy, but they are gluten-free and you can substitute the fillings in there. So that should be good. So Friday, we have our space for of belonging and then our yoga and mindfulness with Daniel in the afternoon. So you're really on a wellness kick on Friday. And then Monday, we're going to have our Who is Maddie J and Mama Peace. Super interesting and compelling. If you don't know who Jenny Stepanek is, you want to take this, and Maddie Stepanek for that matter, this morning coffee on Monday. And then on Tuesdays, we have our Move with Kim and then our e-project. If you haven't signed up for our e-project, check it out. Laura will also be speaking with us about how to get your message across. So it's a PR and marketing session, and that's right at the end. I think it's session 6 or 7. I'm not exactly sure. So with that, I think our polling is ended, and let me make sure. Okay. And I think that is the end of our professional event. I think we have checked all the boxes and hopefully answered all of your questions. And Laura, I cannot thank you enough. This was so well put together and thought out and informative and helpful. And I feel honored to be able to share what you offered today with our community. And I hope that we can do something like this again. It was pretty fantastic. So thank you everybody for joining us, and I look forward to seeing you next time.
Thanks, everybody. I really enjoyed it. Good luck finding purpose.
Laura, thank you so much. This was wonderful.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, Laura. Bye.